So now we're going to explore and learn about three treasures. Not just one three treasures, not just two three treasures, but three treasures. So we have, behind me, we have number one, Jing, Qi, and Shen. We have number two, the three treasures of control, which are guilt, blame, and shame. Then we have the three treasures of freedom. We have trust, harmony, movement. So these are all important because really we're made up of primarily all three of these things. And depending on how we choose to expand or contract or express or suppress or deprogram or program, depends on how these things are going to express in our physical body. So we'll start off first and talk about Jing. Jing is becoming more popular and has become more popular throughout the last probably 5 years. And a lot of people talk about it and talk about, oh, you gotta build Jing, you gotta do this to Jing and that to Jing and have more Jing, blah, 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 blah. People as a result say, oh, I just don't have enough Jing, I need more Jing, my Jing is depleted and my Jing is out, I'm out of Jing. They just don't really understand what it is, what it means. So Jing, first and foremost, we need to understand that's who we are. If we were out, we would be dead. It's as simple as that. And usually what people think of as being low on Jing really is just stagnation in Qi or Shen areas. So Jing is really correlated with our genetic essence, our genetic potential, genetic expression, and as a result, our sexual reproductive character or our sexual reproductive capacity. So it's something that we inherited from our parents, and usually it's something we inherited from our grandparents, because usually we're more like our grandparents, we connect more with our grandparents, and genetically that's who we take after a bit more, which is good for some of us because our grandparents maybe lived a better lifestyle or more natural lifestyle and ate better and moved better and just went to bed earlier and lived more in harmony with nature, didn't have all these external stresses and worries that we have now that just zap our energy and really deplete our kidneys and adrenals at a pretty record and rapid pace. So Jing is really our foundational core energy or our sexual essence or our deep energy that's stored in our kidneys. Has a lot to do with generating our bones, our bone marrow, and manifests sometimes in the teeth and the teeth and the eyes, and sometimes the hair and the head. And kidney energy is really pretty deep down in the body, pretty unconscious in the body. Because if you think about it, really the kidneys are really kind of buried down in a whole bunch of other things. They're not up here, they're just sort of thought to be weighed down in our lower back. So that's why they're associated with, dark blue or black, because they're sort of correlated with this deep unconscious thing. Because really our genetic expression, our sexual expression, and passing on our genes is usually a pretty unconscious process. But really, it can become conscious. It can become something that we're more in tune with as we get more in touch with our body and the natural awareness that it has. So that is Jing, as we can understand it in a really simple way. Second is looking at Qi. And Qi is really kind of more of our day-to-day active energy and circulating more through our superficial meridians. And it's more so the energy that we accumulate through breathing and through the food that we take in. Those are really the two primary sources. Also, the primary sources are like sleep and exercise, meditation. These are all things that can positively help us have more Qi and better Qi circulation, or their absence can really undermine our Qi circulation and our level of energy in the body. And really with these things, it comes down to movement and harmony. But people will often just want more. They want to do more and have more and get more and all these sorts of things. But really, we need to talk about the movement, the flow, the circulation, the utilization, the acquisition, the transformation, the transportation of these different energies. It's more about efficiency and effectiveness than it is just about more and more and more and more all the time. So Jing, again, we understood this genetic energy we inherited from our parents, the prenatal and the postnatal. Then we have our Qi, which is kind of a little bit more of our everyday active energy. And then our Shen, which we can correlate kind of with our heart and more of our mental awareness and spiritual insight and kind of the overriding guiding principle in our body. If we were to look at an organ assumption, we can look at Jing as associated with the kidneys and the sexual reproductive capacities, Qi being more associated with the lungs and the spleen, or spleen being digestive system, and then the Shen being more associated with our heart. And the heart and our mental state are really, really connected. And they call Shen the most important treasure and the overriding principle. And maybe that sounds cool esoterically, but how does it make sense in a real drastic, grounded physical level? Well, it makes sense on a grounded level because if Shen is associated with the heart, and the pulsation of our heart can usually reflect and indicate where our mind is, where our emotional state is. We can look at the way the eyes look and what we see in the eyes and see the Shen. And we can understand that really all the organs in the body are being sort of fed blood through the rhythmic pulsation of the heart. And if that's not really working properly, or the rhythm is off, and maybe the heart is doing this rhythm, but all the other organs are doing this rhythm, then there's just going to be this real dissonance that's going on. There's not going to be really any harmony, and the movement is really going to be massively undermined. Then the health of all the other organs are going to suffer. The Jing is going to be used up more quickly, the Qi is going to be depleted and stagnated, or is not going to feel good. So people oftentimes talk about, oh, I got to get more Jing, I got to take this, I got to do that, I got to eat this and eat that, and get more Qi and do all this and do that, and don't really want to look at the Shen, or the state of being, or the spiritual character of the person. And that's a lot of what we're talking about here today, and what we're talking about in all these different conversations, is looking at the Shen, because the Shen is going to guide and influence the utilization of these different energies. And if our goal is health and longevity and vitality, then obviously we can't just say, you know what, that's not important, let me just focus on these. It's not really balanced, it's not really realistic. So if we looked at this in kind of like a candle analogy, we can look at a candle, pretty obvious, pretty easy thing. So a candle is made up of wax, wick, flame. So we can understand Jing as really the wax and the wick, which is the dense physical substance which determines the longevity or the lifespan of that candle. Determines how much energy it's going to produce, how much light it's going to put off. So Qi would be the flame, or the utilization of that energy, which we can see energy in the body is what? Is the utilization, transformation, and release of energy. What is a flame on a candle? It's burning the wick and melting the wax. It's utilizing and transforming and releasing the energy stored in the wax and the wick. But we should ask, well, what is the point of the candle? What is the function of the candle? Well, obviously a candle is functioning and being used to primarily produce light. Perhaps heat or warmth in some instances, but primarily light. Well, what is human beings, or what are human beings really all about? Well, ideally, we go into the world and we produce light. We produce life. What is a flame? It is animated. It is animation. Well, what does it mean to be alive and to be a human being? It's animation. It's movement, it's flow, it's light energy. And under certain spectrums of, let's say, infrared photography, we are producing light. We are producing measurable frequencies. So in that way, we are kind of like the candle. Depending on how we focus our energy, mentally, it's going to determine where body heat is going to be concentrated in our body. If we're super stressed and tense, we're really not going to have an even distribution. If we're relaxed, we're more peaceful, our mind is more calm, then the utilization and transformation of the energy of Jing and Qi is going to be more even. It's going to be more efficient and more effective. In that way, we're able to clearly and easily understand what Jing is and really kind of what it's all about, how it relates to the human body. So going further, we'll talk about the three treasures of guilt, blame, and shame. Why are they here? Why are we talking about them? Why are they important? What do they have to do with three treasures from Chinese medicine? Well, they're important because these are really what I call the three treasures of control. Whether that is your parents controlling you, a government controlling you, a culture controlling you, programs in your mind controlling you, dysfunctional relationships, dysfunctional patterns or habits or beliefs, religions or spiritual practices, whatever. Usually the methods of control and constraint and constriction come down primarily to one, two, or three of these different things. And we can also add in fear, but fear can also relate in here as well pretty easily. But for the simplicity of three treasures, we'll keep it to these. And if you just take a second and look at different methods of control that you may have observed in your life from any of the examples that we've just gone over, and just think about it. And you might find yourself, having an aha moment at some point where you realize, wow, I did have that experience where that person did this to me or said that to me, and it's really just based on guilt, blame, or shame, or it's some expression of that underlying energy. People guilt people into doing things. Say, well, I thought you were this kind of person, but you're not. Or I did all these things for you, and now you're not going to do this for me. Or, whether it's religion, it says, you're a sinner. You're guilty. You're not good. You're original sin. You have original guilt. You fell from grace. You're guilty. You're bad. You're evil. You're stained. But if you do these things, then you'll be better. Then you'll get into heaven. But we got to blame the evildoers. We got to blame the devil. We got to blame all these other people. We got to blame our body and blame our physical thing and blame this. And then we have to feel ashamed about all the bad things we did and ashamed about our gross sexual desires or our gross physical nature or this and that, and we feel shameful about things we shouldn't have done or things we should have done, and on and on and on. And it's really just this whole mess and ball of control that just starts in our mind, just eats away at us, and then basically disturbs the Shen, which then sucks up the energy of the Jing and Qi and basically just distorts the whole flow of energy in our body, distorts who we are being in this world, distorts our genetic expression, distorts our capacity to be who and what we really are, distorts our capacity for trust, for harmony, and for movement. Because what happens when you get guilt, blame, and shame, you get stuck. You start to not trust things, start to not trust yourself. You start to ignore feeling, which means you start to ignore harmony, because the body operates in that way where something comes along, you say, that feels good, that feels harmonious, yes. But what happens is you start to ignore that because you think, well, I should do this, I should do that. I heard, I read, someone told me, I learned, I did this, I did that, so I have to do it. And you say, no, body, I don't care, I'm not listening to you, leave me alone. And then you start up this whole distrust of yourself, distrust of the body, distrust of other people, distrust of the world, ignoring harmony, and then getting stuck in these sorts of patterns, and you're blocking movement. Thus, stuck in the cycle of control. And again, this could be an interpersonal thing, could be relationships, it could be religion, it could be a job, it could be a family, it could be a parent, son-daughter relationship, it could be a religious structure, a spiritual structure. All of these things really use these three treasures of control. So when we probably want to look at ourselves and see, well, when we're in relationship with other people, do we ever use these things? Do we ever try to guilt someone into doing something? Do we ever blame someone for this or that? Or blame someone for how we feel, or blame someone for how we are? And then look at our lives and feel ashamed of, I can't believe I did that. Oh, I did this. Oh, I did that. Oh, I'm so ashamed. I'm so bad. I'm so embarrassed. And what do these things do? Keep us constrained, keep us controlled, keep us stuck in the same place, keep us from trusting ourselves and trusting people and feeling harmonious and actually moving and getting things done. Because especially working with people and trying to create transformation or growth in certain areas, we run into this a lot. Or people are here, they're experiencing this thing, but they want to be over here, and they want to do this. And you say, okay, well, it's pretty simple. You just do this, and here's how it works, and here's what it's into, and here's X, Y, and Z. And people say, oh, but I don't deserve that. I mean, don't you have to work really hard, or doesn't that only reserve for certain people? Or I don't know if I'm ready yet because I did all this stuff over here, and I gotta work on all this stuff, and I'm ashamed of it, and I'm mad at all these people, and I'm blaming this and blaming that, and I am where I am because I tried this and it didn't work, and this person told me that, and I blame them, and that's why I'm bad, and that's why I feel this way, and I'm ashamed of it, and I feel guilty, and they should be guilty, and they should be made to pay, and they should be do this. And this whole conversation, what happens? Keeps us stuck. And then what happens? We can't go over here and do the thing that we want to do, or accept the invitation that is being given to us, or open up to the new possibility, or open up to the new information of what it is. Which then basically takes our candle, which is our flame here, and then boom, squashes it, makes it this big. Our flame was this big, now it's this big. It's really, really tiny. Because what happens? Constraint, constriction. Because the Jing, the Qi, and the Shen are all of a sudden being suppressed and depressed and basically beat down at a pretty deep and profound level. So if we're trying to get longevity and health and vitality, these things are important and need to be looked at. Especially if we want freedom, we want liberation, we want to be embodied with our true self and live the life that is right for us. These mechanisms need to be examined. So on a more positive note, perhaps we want to look at trust. We want to look at harmony. We want to look at movement, why they're important, and how they can influence and positively expand the flow of the three treasures of Jing, Qi, and Shen, or expand the flow of the candle, or make that candle last longer, burn faster, burn brighter, and put off more light. So trust, what are we talking about with trust? Well, trust really in the sense of getting out of the ego, getting out of the programming, starting to get more into a sense of body awareness or somatic awareness, or tuning more into the inherent intelligence that is who we are, which is based on harmony, which is based on this binary feeling that we get from the body that says expand, contract, advance, retreat, open, close, invite, deny, accept, deny, simple things like that. So basically, harmony is a feeling, comes from the body, in the same way that music is a feeling. Music can be harmonious, and we don't need to know anything about music, we just feel it, our body registers it. The cells in our body respond to the frequency of those sounds. It's not a conscious process, we don't have to think about it, we don't have to learn about it. Doesn't matter what we did in the past, doesn't matter how bad we feel, doesn't matter how guilty we are, all of the crap we have in the head, the body still responds. It's just a matter of, well, are we aware of it? Are we trusting that inherent intelligence? Are we trusting our natural instincts, our natural feelings? Are we really giving harmony the weight that it deserves, the attention and the focus that it deserves? Are we operating out of principles that are based on harmony? Are we operating out of a mental framework that is based from harmony and is based on understanding context and relating properly and accordingly? Or is our framework based on guilt, blame, and shame? Blaming people, making them feel bad, putting guilt on them, putting guilt on ourselves, beating ourselves up. Because really, most of us as humans could probably afford to be a bit kinder to ourselves, to forgive ourselves a little bit more, to just relax and accept ourselves a little bit more and not be so hard and beat ourselves up. And really the hardest person to be kind to is usually ourselves. And we learn this crap about guilt, blame, and shame at a young age when we do something and we're doing it because we're having fun and we're learning and we're alive and we're experiencing. Someone comes along and says something to us, says, oh, bad people do that. You're a bad person. You are this. You are that. And little do we know, we're just trusting and feeling harmony and moving around and doing our thing and just being a kid. And all of a sudden someone says, that's not okay. That's bad. And you should feel bad about that. You're being blamed for what you did wrong. You need to feel guilty about it. You're punished. Go to your room. Go in the corner. You're getting an F. You're getting flunked. You're going to the principal's office. You're getting detention. You're getting suspended. The list just goes on and on and on. And all of a sudden you think, oh, I feel terrible. What did I do? Maybe I am bad. Maybe the core of who I am is wrong. Then boom, trust gone, harmony gone, movement gone. Guilt, blame, and shame come in, take over their place. The three treasures of Jing, Qi, and Shen start to go down. And then all of a sudden, oh wait, now I have health problems. Now I need this thing and that thing. And we're running all over the place trying to change and fix all the stuff. When in reality, perhaps it's this which is at the core. And all of us have these experiences as kids, unless we happen to be really lucky to always be surrounded by people who are really conscious and can make the distinction between identifying something and identifying a particular behavior. Because yeah, as human beings, especially as children, especially as adults, we make mistakes. We do something and it feels right, and maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe it doesn't work out how we thought it should. Maybe we make a mistake. Maybe we screw up. Sure, it's a part of life. I can tell you how many mistakes I've made, how much money I've lost, how much time and energy, and all these things have seemingly been wasted or seemingly been mistakes. And you know, the choice is, do I want to feel ashamed about it or blame someone or say, oh, it's their fault, they did it, if only they wouldn't have done that, then this wouldn't have happened. Well, or we can say, well, you know, maybe that's just what I needed to do. Maybe that's the price I paid for that lesson. Maybe I just didn't listen to what felt harmonious to me at the same time. Maybe I was too confused and was being guilted or shamed into doing something that really wasn't right for me, which then caused me to get stuck and not really want to move. So trust and harmony are in the body. Movement is in the body. Movement is absolutely critical and essential. Why? Because that's what reality is based on. Movement is what the world is. Movement is what is happening all the time. The body wants to move. The mind wants to move. Jing, Qi, and Shen want to move. If you have a candle, it wants to move. If it doesn't move, it's like the worst candle ever. Definitely. But if that candle's not moving, or you cut off its oxygen supply, what happens? Boom, no more candle, goes out. If you give it some oxygen, you give it the proper environment, what it wants to do, move and dance and flow and respond naturally to the environment around it. And it's just fire. It's just this thing, but somehow it has this intelligence. Somehow it has this ability to adequately respond. The wind comes and blows, and you're just, yep, okay, fine, back to normal. It's not like, oh my God, the wind, why did you do that to me? How dare you? How dare you blow on me? How dare you do this? How dare you do that? And go on this whole thing. No, it's just like, whoop, yep, oh, okay, all right, back, okay, we're fine. Big deal. Same thing with bamboo trees. Bamboo, the wind comes, just, oh, yep, wind, here it is, okay, boom, now it's gone, no problem. But the oak tree or the hardwood tree is sitting there and it's trying to fight it. It's trying to fight the wind. It's fighting the wind. All of a sudden, it becomes too strong. It tries to resist and fight, but it can't. Boom, breaks, falls apart, and it dies. Simple way to understand trust, harmony, and movement. With the candle analogy, with the Jing, Qi, and Shen analogy, and really drawing parallels and connections between our societal conditioning from our culture and our parents and our whatever, and how it relates to our health, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And then learning to base our mindset and our actions and our paradigms on things that are a bit more based on harmony, based on trust, based on movement and flow. Whether that's with our exercise pattern, or whether that's with our diet, or our belief system, or our lifestyle, or whatever, it's basing it on things that are just a bit more harmonious and a bit more in alignment with how the world is and how it actually functions.